The first cell we will look at is the rod cell. And the rod cell is located in the retina and is highly concentrated around this area. It helps us have peripheral vision and is almost completely responsible for night vision. And its basic function is to receive messages and turn those messages into tone. And this is done through the transmitter vesicles and the photoreceptors. How it happens is there's a photoreceptor disc that takes proteins and turns them into a specific type of protein and then sends them to the transmitter vesicle. Those vesicles then go to the brain and the protein will register as a specific tone. Organelles that are present in this cell are mitochondria, Golgi body, photoreceptor discs, and rough ER, and transmitter vesicles. The mitochondria is important because the cell needs a lot of energy to transmit the proteins to the brain. The Golgi body is needed to create the transmitter vesicles, and the photoreceptor discs are important because they create the protein that will turn into tone in the brain. And the rough ER is important because protein is needed extensively. Without protein, the cell would not be what it is. Things that aren't so noticeable are the smooth ER and the lysosomes. They aren't really important because there isn't really anything that needs to be digested or anything like that in the eye. So it wouldn't really be there except for to destroy old cell parts. And the smooth ER is not there because there isn't really any waste products or hormones that need to be made in the eye, so they're not really necessary. And the next cell we'll be looking at is the hepatocyte cell. And this cell is the main tissue of the liver. It makes up 70 to 85% of the liver's cytoplasmic mass, and it is the chief functional cell in the liver. And what it does is it detoxifies, modifies, and excretes substances of endogenous and exogenous form. And those substances are anything like drugs, insecticides, anything that comes from outside of the cell, that's an exogenous compound. And an endogenous compound is compounds that originate inside the cell, such as steroids and stuff like that. Other things the cell does is they produce protein synthesis, they go protein storage, transformation of carbohydrates, synthesis of cholesterol, bile salts, and phospholipids, and it initiates formation and secretion of bile. Now, organelles found inside the cell are the smooth and rough ER, and they have lots of lysosomes and lots of mitochondria. The smooth and rough ER are important because you need a lot of protein to go through protein synthesis, and they give them their clotting factors that hepatocyte cells are known to have. And the smooth ER helps to get rid of the waste and help detoxify it and also make protein, or not protein, I mean hormones. There's lots of lysosomes because it destroys things it's a detoxifier, so it takes things and modifies them. So lots of lysosomes to help destroy bad chemicals or whatever is brought through the liver. And lots of mitochondria because it takes a lot of energy to perform all these tasks. The hepatocyte cell is just one main center, and it just so much happens and it's just crazy, and it needs a lot of energy. And the average lifespan of a hepatocyte cell is actually 5 months. Now, organelles that aren't really found in the hepatocyte cell are the Golgi body, and I think that's it. It's pretty full. It doesn't really need a Golgi body because it's not really sending anything outside of the cell. Most of the work happens inside the cell. I mean, I'm sure it sends out a few things, but it's not really a main part of the hepatocyte cell. Some similarities and differences between the two cells are there's lots of mitochondria in each cell. That's really only the similarity they have. They both do really important jobs, and they both need a lot of energy to do those jobs. But the differences are that the rod is in the eye, which is part of the nervous system, and hepatocyte cells are found in the liver and are part of the digestive system. Rod has no lysosomes, or little to none, and hepatocyte has tons of lysosomes. Rod cells receive information and send information, and hepatocytes are more task-oriented where they are. They just do things like in the area, like secretion and synthesis and detoxification. Rod cells help us see at night, and hepatocyte cells perform more things like inside our body, like metabolic, endocrine, and secretory functions. They're not really to help us see at all or anything, obviously, because it's in the liver. And hepatocyte detoxifies, and rod cells help us see. So there's a lot of differences, but not really a lot of similarities. And if Atlee has anything else to say, I'm sure he'll perch in or chirp in.